Well, how can we close that wage gap faster than the predicted 202 years? Sheila Ronning, CEO and founder of Women in the Boardroom, joins us live from New York for more. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here.
Now, it's pretty disheartening to think that it could take 202 years to close the gender wage gap. So give us some context as to why progress seems to be moving so slowly.
Well, it really depends on how you look at the whole picture. I mean, if you're looking at it from, we are making progress in many other areas. I feel like we're making a lot of progress in different areas, and I feel like women are really having their voice now, so I don't think it will take that long. At least maybe that's just wishful thinking on my end, but I really have been seeing a lot of progress in the work I'm doing, which is, it definitely is a good look into globally on many fronts, not just the boardroom, but I mean, the boardroom is at the top.
Now, so what would you say then are the biggest contributing factors impacting women's workforce participation?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Sure. What would you say are the factors that are really contributing the most when it comes to women's workforce participation?
Well, I think that women are really understanding that they don't have to just take the back seat, and so they're wanting to step up. And I think, when it comes to children, a lot of husbands are now staying at home, or different countries are having a longer maternity leave. But really, it is just, I think there's a lot of different things. I mean, we've even seen the research that's being done too on automation and how that helps women advance in the workplace as well, because a lot of their jobs were managing that automation piece of it.
Now, it's interesting because a lot of research is showing that if closing the gender gap became a reality, that could boost global GDP by a whopping $28 trillion. So why aren't more businesses and governments really clamoring to try and make that a reality?
Well, I mean, I think that we could ask that question about so many different things, if we know that even having more women serve on corporate boards, that it's good for the bottom line, why isn't that happening? But I mean, I do feel like there are many things that are moving in the right direction. I really do. I know that because I'm in it every single day, 24/7. So I think it's just that not every little piece is, part of the world, and every sector is seeing it right at the moment. But I can tell you I have seen a significant difference in the last 5 years, and especially in the last 3 years.
So since you're on the front lines of this, what have been some of the initiatives that have really tried to close this gap?
Well, I mean, I know in the United States, with California passing the law, with having, mandatory having women on the corporate boards there. And people will argue, still to this day, that it's going to end up in court, and is it really going to happen? But, the reality is that if it continues to stay in the media, it really isn't a male versus female. Men in the boardroom are not against women. That's not it at all. But if they are smart board members and they realize that now California has this law passed, let's get ahead of it. And I have seen a big flurry of activity in California now where they're like, well, let's just get it done. And let's not all of a sudden have to worry about having some crisis in our company, on our board, and that doesn't match up with their fiduciary duties to have a crisis. So,
right.
They should be nervous that if they're not just taking care of it, a lot more things than just a fine will happen.
Now, even internationally, we've seen some governments like India using quotas on company boards to get more women not just into the workplace, but into decision-making positions. But some people are calling it tokenism versus really addressing the underlying issues. What are your thoughts on this approach?
Well, I actually, I don't, of course, I don't agree with that at all. And it really is, I think it's really disrespectful to women, because there's so many amazing women that are not tokens, that can be going into those spots and places. So I don't know. I guess I just feel that, the people that are saying they're tokens, I would like them to back that up.
So then what would you say are the biggest challenges facing working women in 2019? Being that you do have some of this backlash when people do try and do things like add more women on boards. What do you see as the biggest challenges?
Well, you know, I think it's a combination of everything. And really, with the work I do, I'm going to say something that maybe is a little bit controversial for women, but I will tell you that I think a lot of times what happens is women sometimes will get in their own way. And I'm wanting to just make sure that what you take from that is that, you know, we tend to look at something and go, oh gosh, I don't know every single little piece of that in order to go for it. Whereas, you know, I mean, there's many research and many studies done showing that men are only thinking, oh, I only need to match up with two, or I only match up with two of those 10 things, and I'm going to go for it. Right. Where women, we do feel like we need to constantly, you know, check every single box before we go for it. And you know, I just want women to start just going for it. If they're, you know, if it's something, you know, that they're not matching every single box, but they're, you know, qualified to do, then go for it.
Certainly good advice there. Thank you so much. Sheila Ronning there,
Yeah.
CEO and founder of Women in the Boardroom. Thanks so much.